Hello there, welcome to this week's tutorial. It's on a very classic tune and it's one I actually already uploaded a while ago and which is one of our best doing transcriptions. Actually, it's Moanin, the baritone solo by Ronnie Cuber. And the reason I'm doing it again is because I never did a transcription masterclass on it, one. Secondly, there were a few little mistakes in the transcription. And thirdly, now I combined it because I did first the intro, which is so famous for that Barry riff, and also the real Ronnie Cuber solo. I combined it in one complete little video. So let's go through it. It's a lot of stuff that is then actually being compressed together. So much cool stuff. So we will take a look at this beginning, the melody, this begin riff, but not too closely. I'll probably be doing a complete saxophone baritone tutorial on that one just for the intro. So we just can do it now for just a quick look through, and then we focus more on the real solo part over the changes for this time. So let's get started, but let's start from the beginning. Okay, and before we go to the real riff, this beginning rubato thing is, yeah, it's very cool. It's all kind of in the blues scale way of playing. So he has a few licks here, and then you can see those runs all going through the D minor blues scale. Also here with that high, with a little bit of alternate fingering on this one, and then again very broad blues lick thing. And then we are going to the actual yeah, the actual Yeah, okay. That's the famous riff here. And what can we say about that? A lot, to be honest. Because I think why it works is you have this D. We are in D minor, clearly. So we go from a D towards the fifth, which is for a bass line actually a very common thing to do. But what makes this song and what makes this riff is going to the B flat here. This major seventh interval is what makes it such a nasty little thing, and also, yeah, it's the seventh interval that makes it special. It has this big impact. Of course, this low B flat is also very nicely on the bottom of the horn, so it pops big, and how Ronnie Cuber plays it, I mean, that's also part of the deal. But this major seventh, that's it actually. Here you could see it as a D minor, and this B flat as a flat 6, like a B flat major 7. That are the chords. And then you see here actually the second simulation of the second degree E minor. That would be a flat 5 minor, a half dim, but the B flat is never, the B anyway is never really being used, so we can't hear that. But that would have to be half diminished according to the key. The second degree on a minor, in this case E minor, would be E minor flat 5. So, and then I wrote in also the way he tongues it for the saxophone players. That's very interesting. Certainly here to get that real swing feel. So always do ba 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 ha ba ha ba ba. aha, baha, ba. Yeah, beautiful singing, but it's to make clear the phrasing. And then I do personally like this part a lot. It's actually kind of a B flat pentatonic, a part of a B flat pentatonic happening here. So that's referring probably to this low B flat also, which is part of the riff. So, and then it goes on. We won't look into that. It's kind of the melody. It's all, yeah, just all the melody is being repeated, and then he has a little thing in again a D blues pentatonic way, and then from here, like at this certain point, all the instruments start participating, and it gets like chaos. So there I stopped transcribing. We had for then the best part or the most clear part what the baritone and was playing. So let's now look to the actual solo of Ronnie Cuber. Okay, here we go. Let's listen from the start, and here if you can recognize this very first lick. Okay, let's stop here for a moment. If you recognize that first lick, that would have to be this little melody from Carmen, that opera. It's an opera Carmen from Bizet, I believe, if I'm correct. I'm not very good in the classical classics, but it's a famous little melody. So he starts off with a very recognizable thing, and then he goes further actually from here back into D blues scale for the biggest part, and then he starts to get in the bebop. That's the first little mark that he starts to do the bebop thing, and then he starts to outline the chords. Like I said before, we have E minor 7 flat 5 because we are in D minor. So if we take this B flat into account and we form a four thirds on top of each other, then we get E, G, B flat, and D eventually. And then you see him with a nice phrasing. I wrote it in just sometimes, but he has a huge phrasing that's really nice on the baritone. It's like Mulligan. He was also a very heavy phrasing guy, and that's really cool. Then there's a part I like a lot here. So he goes for a little pattern rhythmically, as well as just a beat, and then he plays a third down, then a rest, then again one beat that he plays a third down, rest, again 2 8 notes, a third down. And this works very well. This first third is like the B natural he already puts here. He makes D minor 7 here Dorian by doing that. So that's really nice. And then we have some altered notes. He uses here the flat 5 already. And then you have this little sequence also here in the chords. G major 7 F E, which he really takes into account. And then we go on into some more blues stuff. We didn't hear that yet, but let's take it from start with all the knowledge I just talked about, and then we will go on. Okay, so for the biggest part of starting at bar 17, he used a lot of blues scale here with some altissimos on the baritone, but he created the tension with the rhythmic he was making here. Here he kept on playing the D blue scale, all blue scale, blue scale, blue scale. And then to prepare the B part, here we see again the bebop. So he really makes some changes between playing blues some of the time and sometimes real bebop phrases. Here quite hip with the sharp 11, and then I wrote in D7 because that's what the real book said. That's also what the bass player here is playing, but if you look at what he plays, he probably just keeps on taking A7 because of the C, C sharp, C, B flat. This would be, that's all altered on the A7, and the C sharp doesn't make sense on the D7. So let's go to the bridge. Okay, and here he is actually very much inside playing, outlining the different chords that are here in the B part. You can see him play clearly A flat here. It's just a triad starting from the 5th. Then we go to G minor and he makes a little chromatic going down from the root towards the major 7 back to the root. Then we have the A flat. This is all A flat except for this G, but it's more a little, grace note-ish thing. Then we have G minor, all good so far. A little bit of blues again, but then because we are in the bridge, we are more or less in G minor, as you can see. I put it in the lines that have always 4 bars, so every 4 bars we hit that G minor. It's a turnaround towards G minor. And then for the last 4 bars of the bridge, it's not resolving to G minor, but G7. And then we have this little thing again with the dominance. And then every time this happens, we had it once before with the G major 7, F7, and then E7. But it's all kind of the same thing here, really. Here he starts again a sequence in whole notes because that's also a bit what the progression asks for, and I think it's really cool. Here you can see him play clearly a E7 or at least an E chord over the B flat 7, which is of course as good as B flat 7. It's a bit outside, but it's the tritone substitution for for this B flat. It could either have been also a E, which would have been the relative to dominant to so a subdominant for A7, and then A7 is the 5 of this D minor 7, so 2, 5, 1. So E7, A7, D minor 7, that's what he's playing. But the chords are here a B flat, which is in terms of function exactly the same as this E7. I hope that makes all a little bit sense, but he's very clear in his lines. What I also like is he does another tritone substitution here. E flat, F, G, B flat. That's a E flat over A7. Again, a tritone substitution. And then we go on and then listen for this B natural, because this is E minor 7 flat 5 to make it inside. Here he's going for the B, which makes it hip, and actually I think he's thinking more about D minor, to be honest here. More in a modal way for those 4 bars, for a moment at least, because you can see him play a D minor, just try it, and then with chromatic embellishment back to the D. Here he plays an E, so yeah, there is normally a F7 there, but he's just thinking D minor over it. And then he uses this B natural to show us a little Dorian sound. So listen for that. I know it's all a lot of information, so rewind a bit if you can follow, but we will start at bar 49. Okay, and let me stop there for a moment. You can see again the tritone substitution here. So on the A7 again, the E flat 7 he is playing. B flat, E flat, F natural, A, so that would be a E flat 7, sharp 11, and then yeah, again all the right notes for a E flat 7 more. Or, of course, the A7 altered with the sharp 11 with flat 9, but basically that's the same thing. And he had a lot of the chromatic stuff there before happening, also the bebop stuff. So listen to that again, listen to those, to those E flats over A7, to those tritone substitutions. They give a certain sound which Ronnie Kuber uses a lot during this solo, which we already have seen. Yes, and again we are back to this progression with G major, F7, E7, A, and you can see here on this descending chord progression, he plays super simple, he makes big statements there, and it works so well. And then you will see again on this A7, he uses the B flat, the E flat, so it sounds again more like a tritone on E flat. Let's listen to that one again. Okay, and I think this is a very, very nice hip place. Here you can hear him, I think he makes this E minor 7 kind of dominant because of this. I wrote in A flat could be G sharp, then you see the major third instead of this minor, E minor third. And he actually plays this part E octatonic scale, half whole tone scale. If you look at that, E, F, half tone, F, G, whole tone, half, whole, half. And then from just 1/8 note in front, but then he goes to the octatonic scale of C, half whole tone scale again, which both fit on their respective chords. So here from E minor, half tone whole tone scale, and here from C. But C also fits on it's all within the same octatonic scales. We have only 3 because then the circle is round. So if you would start from an A, that would be A, B flat, C, which he starts here from, then C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G. The B flat, A, and G are still in that scale. So it's twice octatonic. First one of E, and then the one of C, however you want. But the one of C is also the one of A7. So listen to that one again. And then we're again at this place with the chord progression. He plays this a very clear G major because he wanted to show the B natural here because we are, the sound is really changing there because of this G major. Here with other chord progression, the turnarounds with D minor 7, F7, E flat 7, flat 5, A7, that's all very much within D minor, but with the G major that gives a complete different sound. And again, you see this line, and then we have from the F again also the same 1 2 3 1, and then from E without the major third, and then actually the one of D, he makes a descending line first from G, then from F, then from E, and then from D. So again, the sequence is always happening at the same place for him, which is nice. And then he will play a little bit with a few notes of the pentatonic scale. So let's listen further. So before we move to the B part again, the only real hip thing happening here, there's a little bit of, again, the E minor 7 here is being played more as an E7 with this G sharp here. And then we move into the A7, which is again very altered. If you look at that, he starts anticipating the A7 with an E flat triad, so that's again the tritone substitute. And then we have very clear triads going down here from B minor over the A7. So, and then moving into which appears to be G minor 7 over the A7. So a lot of different structures, different sounds, different triadic sounds over that A7. And let's listen to that once more to grab that sound. It's really a bit out of this world. Okay, and then we have the B part. I didn't stop it because also that one seems to be pretty much straightforward in terms of tone material. But when we are entering that certain progression with the G7, the F7, and then the B flat 7, he has the same structure as before. He outlines first this G with the B natural very clearly. Then he plays a triad in first the third, then the fifth, then the root, but a very clear triad on the F7. And then he goes again for an E7 rather than the B flat 7 that I wrote in, but that's what the bass player is playing. Doesn't matter because it's again a tritone substitution. And then you can see again this E flat here being used over the A7. So pretty much over whole this solo, he has his patterns of thinking outside over certain chords, which is cool. And then he finishes off with a high note, altissimo note for the baritone saxophone with a little rhythmic thing that works very well. You could take that rhythmic thing and just take any note. Maybe when you're improvising, take this rhythm and see if it works. Just go and play with the rhythm with one note. That's also a very strong thing to do. So let's listen to the end of the solo. Yeah, so that was it. That was the Ronnie Cuber solo over Moanin. I think it's really interesting. Certainly, if you're interested in hard bop, this is a very good hard bop solo with some interesting outside patterns, with some very good phrasing. We didn't dive into it too much, but listen to the phrasing of Ronnie Cuber on all the 8 notes. That's really nicely done. He phrases very well. He's not too sloppy in that, and that makes it, even more hard bop, I would say. Also, what I take away from this one is the octotonic use he uses over the dominant chords, and the tritone substitutions. That are his two main melodic principles he seems to use here, besides of some really clear statements over some of the chords, like the chord progression I mentioned a few times, when it goes to a G7, to the F, and then to the E7 or B flat, however we want. He mostly uses the E7 to go back, to the D minor. So guys, that was it. Let me know what you think, and if you see some other interesting things, make sure you make a comment, and then see you next time.